So, I mentioned last week that I was going to be going to travel to New York, and so I just want to do a quick overview of how that trip went. Plus, I'm going to spend a lot more time talking about books that I picked up. So, keep watching if you want like 2 dozen book recommendations that are sitting on the side of my desk. So, first thing is I went to Rochester last Friday. I went up with one of my partners. Unfortunately, my husband was sick, couldn't make it. But thankfully, we had one of our closest friends here to take care of him and take care of the dogs while we were gone. Otherwise, I probably would have canceled the trip, honestly. But I'm glad that I didn't because later that day, I got to go spend some time with some of my friends. One that I haven't seen in quite a long time, and then his girlfriend, who I've never met before. And it was wonderful seeing them both. I had a really great time. My partner and I got to go get some good food for breakfast, go to a very cute place for coffee, checked out some cute vintage shops and stuff in Rochester, walked around a lot. The weather was gorgeous compared to Florida. I really enjoyed it. And then we joined them for lunch, which I had a really tasty pizza. Like, I'm already wishing I had it again. And we went to the Strong Museum of Play, which I've been wanting to go to for years, but never had a chance to do when I was in Rochester. So that's where the National Toy Museum is, and also that's where some of the video game museum archives are kept. The Museum of Play is basically about the human history of play. So it's mainly a lot of things about toys, and then there's a whole huge interactive exhibit on the second floor for video games. Because, yes, this is a multi floor museum that is humongous. There's a really cool Hasbro sculpture garden outside. One of the only things that we couldn't do that was, I guess, age appropriate, since there's also like small trains and zip lines and stuff, mainly for kids. But we couldn't do the butterfly garden, which I could see from the outside. It looked like a greenhouse. It looked gorgeous in there. But for whatever reason, they said it was closed for a week or two. The whole museum had just undergone renovations, which everyone in the city told us, oh, you're going to love it because the renovations make it look so great. And I absolutely agree. The video game thing was really fun. We got these wristbands that you could like earn points, and basically they gamified going to the museum to interact with the video game based exhibits. There was a lot of free to play games. If you go to the Rochester airport, there's actually on both sides, both terminals, there are I guess I'd say advertisements for this Museum of Play that are a lot of free to play arcade games set up. So it was a lot of fun. We got to do a lot, and again, it was really great being able to see my friends that I haven't seen in so long and enjoy the museum with them. I'm going to be posting up a lot of pictures of what we did. The following day, I was at WordCamp Rochester, where I gave a presentation on starting your own newsletter. Because I both do my personal newsletter, which I'll put a link to, and I talked about last week, and then I also manage newsletters for clients, and I've done other newsletters in the past. And so I wanted to talk about why people might want to start them, how to get started, tools that they can use both with their WordPress site and without it to get started. I had a lot of great conversations throughout the day, both about the Rochester area, since I was telling people that I came to visit for this. Actually wasn't the furthest person to come. That goes to one of the other speakers who traveled from Costa Rica, but I would say we were among the furthest to travel for this small WordCamp. I had a really great time, talked to a lot of people. If you were there, thank you for spending time chatting with me. Thank you for all the questions that I got with my presentation. I saw that the videos actually went live yesterday, so I can share the slides and the videos of the presentation. And I'm actually planning on writing up a physical guide, so hopefully that is available soon. That can be both PDF printed and available on my website, just because there's so many things to go over that there's no way I could have covered it, in just a 30-minute presentation. The following morning, my other partner was supposed to fly up to join us in New York City, and my husband was feeling better, so he also booked the same flight, and they were both able to fly up to join us, so there ended up being 4 of us in the city as we originally planned. We were only there for about 2 days, so we couldn't do a ton, but we still were able to walk around a lot. As I'll talk about in the book section, I bought a lot of books. I went to a few cute shops that I only get to go to up there. I had a ton of great food. We got the Momofuku Milk Bar. We got Of course, some pizza and some hot dogs and other street vendor food. I'm trying to think. We went to some really good bakeries, some really good local restaurants. I love to eat, and I love to go to these places where I can get good food. And we went around to several parks. Battery Park was beautiful. There's another park called Oasis that we went to near Battery Park. The High Line was really cool. It's basically an old above ground train station or train rails rather that they turned into a public park. And I'd never actually been. I had the opportunity to go last time before the pandemic, and I didn't end up going. But I'm glad we went. It was beautiful. And of course, Central Park was super beautiful, and the weather was amazing again compared to Florida. It was really great. We had a really good time. We did a lot of exploring, a lot of walking around in the both very crowded and also not so crowded parts of the city, and a lot of sightseeing because two of the people had never actually been there before. And while we didn't do some of the things like some of the big museums or go see a show, we have more planned for our next trip. It was a lot of fun. I am glad to be home, though. I have a lot of things to do here, and also I was really hoping to be consistent with these videos. So that's it. That was my trip last weekend. I'm going to WordCamp Atlanta next weekend, like in a week and a half. So I'll be talking about my presentation there and what I'm doing there. It's going to be a little bit less hectic of a trip, and it's going to be just me. And that's it. Now let's talk about books. I'm usually not one for souvenirs when I travel, but one thing that I am okay with getting is books, because I just find that I'm going to remember where I got them from, who I got them from, and I'm going to have more memories around those books. So on this last trip to New York, I might have gone a little overboard in that I came home with one of our bags completely full of books. Which, might not sound like a bad thing except for having to lug it around, on public transportation on my plane. But that said, I kind of wanted to do a showcase of the books that I got. I'm going to just grab this big old stack here. So these are the books that I picked up mainly at two bookstores. One of them is Forbidden Planet. That is a comic shop in Midtown. And the other one is a little bit closer to downtown. It was called the Bureau of General Services Queer Division. I'll probably put links to find both of those places. I also have a couple of books here that I got online that happened to be delivered while I was out of town. So I actually went to the queer bookstore with one specific book in mind, and thankfully, I said the name of it. I actually got the name wrong, but the person who was working knew exactly what book I was talking about, and was able to find a copy for me right away. In addition to that, like I said, kind of went a little overboard. So I'm going to go from basically smallest to largest on the books, and just talk about, why I got them. So the first one is Pyramids by Terry Pratchett. This one I actually got for my partner who was traveling with me, who was a fan of Terry Pratchett. I've not read this book. I don't really know anything about this one particularly, but I'll let them tell me if it's any good. The next two we got from the Queer Bookshop were A Quick and Easy Guide to Sex and Disability and A Quick and Easy Guide to Asexuality. I already own some of the other Quick and Easy guides. I have them among my queer comics on my bookshelf here. That's basically what two of those whole rows are. And so I wanted to just add to the collection. Plus, one of the authors of A Queer Guide to Asexuality is part of a Discord group that I'm on and shared that, she had the book coming out, and I've been meaning to pick it up since. I next got Letter to My Little Queer Self. My partner heard of this book separately, and I found it on a shelf, and I thought it looked really interesting. And it's basically a collection of letters that people wrote to themselves when they were younger, about their queer lives, and that's something that really resonates with me. This one was on a shelf, facing out. It was basically tailor-made for me. It looked so funny, and it was a good price. By the way, most of the books here were not cover price. They had them on discount. I actually got a bunch of books at the comic shop specifically because they were on the discount rack. Um, this one is Queer Werewolves Destroy Capitalism. I already have a series of ebooks that are werewolves versus, and I think I have a werewolves versus capitalism book. Um, this one's light erotica, but it says it's a lighthearted, high heat, consensual gay erotica, and I mean, it looks hilarious, and I'm gonna have a lot of fun reading it. This one I got for my husband, Queer Heroes of Myth and Legend. He's a big fan of mythology, and he saw this one, and he, wanted to get it, but he was like, I'm not going to buy myself any books. But by this point, I already had a huge stack in my hand, so I kind of just grabbed it, put it on top of the stack. There's a lot of queer mythology already, and I'm really excited to see if there's any. I'm sure there's plenty of stories that I don't know, and hopefully he enjoys it as well. This is one of the books that I had ordered. This one is called Rise of the Video Game Zinesters. I had to find a used copy of this because I couldn't find it for sale new anywhere. But I am a big fan of zines. I also picked up some zines while I was on the trip, and I'm a fan of video games. And honestly, I just wanted to learn more about people making their own content around video games. This one I got as a used library book, so I was able to get a copy of it in pretty good condition, used. It is a graphic novel called Meal. I got this for myself and for one of my friends, who I guess will probably be spoiled when watching this video, because I also have plenty of comics about cooking. I think that they're usually really cute slice of life comics. This one I also purchased for one of my friends because it looked adorable. Baby Bear's Bakery. It is pretty much just a bunch of comics about a baby bear who owns a bakery. And I don't know, it just looks so cute, and I loved the art style. And I wanted to get it. A lot of impulse purchasing here. This one we purchased as a gift for someone else. But I'm going to read it first before I give it to them. Thankfully, I have a little bit of time before Christmas. This book is a Junji Ito book. If you're unfamiliar with Junji Ito, he does a lot of horror manga. So his stuff is a lot of body horror. And his stuff is really weird and creepy, but I love it. This is one that I've had on my book wish list for quite a while, and so when I saw this on the used book stand of the comic book store, I knew I had to pick it up. Seek You, A Journey Through Loneliness. It is pretty much exactly that. It is a book, is a comic book, a graphic novel about the rise of American loneliness. I'm interested. I can't wait to read it. This next book, To Strip the Flesh, it is a manga that I saw sitting on the shelf like this. This was all that I saw, and I thought, I want to take a look at this one. I pull it out, and for whatever reason, it stood out among all the other manga on that shelf. And I look at it, and of course, it is a trans-mask story about a trans-masked Japanese person who is coming out to their family. And it does look like there is a bit of body horror mixed in here as well, but in a way that's a trans person talking about their own experience. And that is something that I don't want to say I enjoy reading these books, but I enjoy knowing that there are other people who have these same thoughts and feelings and are better able to verbalize it than I am. This is another one that I got from the Queer Bookshop, Pixels of You. It is a graphic novel that looks, I don't know, it looks very pretty when I looked at it, and it does look like there's a lot of sapphic romance inside, and I like books about AI and cyborgs and queer stuff, so perfect fit. Finally, we've made it to the book that I actually went out to purchase, which was the Queer Games Avant-Garde. It's a variety of interviews with queer game makers about what they do. I read a detailed review about this that made it sound really interesting to me. I recognize the name of a lot of the video game developers, and I'm just always interested in stories about how people are, taking their passion and sharing with other people in a way that can be more easily consumed, by making games that also touch upon their queer experience. This is another used library book I ended up getting, called People I've Met from the Internet. So it's all sealed up like with a library binding. I've heard good things about this novel. It, as you can see, it has a lot of footnotes and annotations. The idea is that it's about a series of information about dates this person went on with people from the internet. It's supposed to be very queer. It's supposed to be interesting, so I look forward to reading it. Both my partner and I are fans of the webcomic Softies, and neither of us had any idea that Softies had a physical release. So when I saw this on the used bookshelf at the comic shop, I knew I had to grab it, just because I really love this comic. I really love again, with everything else here, I really love the queerness of the characters. I really love the type of story that they're telling in space here, that it's still, it's sci-fi, but it's really a lot more like cozy sci-fi, I would say. I'm a fan of that. Plus, come on. The characters are just so cute. All right, almost at the end. This one I got from my partner, who pulled it out and thought it looked interesting. I agree. It's called Windmaker. I haven't read any of these yet since we just got home, but it looks like Afrofuturist. I admit, when looking at it, it kind of it very much gave me Black Panther, Wakanda vibes. It's about a fictional nation in Africa that's very futuristic. And there's political intrigue. Hopefully it's good, and I'm not going to feel like, oh, this is derivative or something. I saw this comic when I was looking at... there was a section with some zines that I was looking at comics that were independently published, and this one, Lots of Love in the Ring, looked really cute. It looked like a lot of fun about two characters and professional wrestling, and lots of lesbian love, and I don't know, it looked like it was a lot of fun. So everything here was an impulse purchase. Well, almost all of it. Second to last, we have this book about manga creators who draw bara-style men, very large, beefy men, which isn't really, admittedly, my style, not what I usually love, but I already have this as a PDF, and I really enjoyed, besides, being able to look at the art and get an idea of the stories that they're telling. And I'm going to be careful before I flip some of the pages here, because there is some adult content in here, but it's all about... let me find some pages that are actually with the artists. There we go. It's all about the people who create this art, and and how they view it and everything. And it's really interesting to me to see how a different culture handles a queer type of storytelling. So I'm mainly interested in that one. I'm going to just sound the people who I buy Playboy for the articles, but I am interested in that comic or in that book specifically for how these comic creators talk about their work, similar to the Queer Games one. And the final book in this stack is Hilda and the Stone Forest. So I really wish that Luke Pearson would make more adult comics again. Before he made Hilda, or at least before I was aware of it, I was aware of comics that he made that were of a more adult nature. By that I just mean more adult themes, not necessarily, adult, mature, but I really like his art style, which really shines through in the show and shines through, in the art for the book, for all the Hilda books. I have a bunch of them already. And since I didn't own this one, I, just wanted to add it to my collection. A lot of the stories are similar to the Netflix show, but there's also a bit of difference, and there's a lot of more detail in the comics than there is in the show. Again, I just really love the style of art that he does and the layout of panels, and I would love to see more work from him. I'm glad that he has a lot of success with Hilda and with children's comics. But I also really loved the more mature stories that he was telling for adults, and I would love to see more of that. That said, I went through 24 books really quick. And yeah, thank you for sticking with me. Thank you for letting me share with you. If you are interested in any of these books, please find them from a local retailer, from an online retailer like IndieBound or Bookshop.org. Like I said, I didn't feel guilty buying these. Besides the fact that I was able to get most of them, used or on discount, I was also able to support a local business, in this case, a local comic shop or a queer bookstore that directly benefited a queer center. Actually, I didn't even go over that. The Bureau of General Services queer division is inside of a queer health center. So we actually went into the center and went up to the second floor, and it was like in a separate room, large room. I'll probably put some pictures of what it looked like in there, with a huge selection of queer books, a lot of great art on the walls, and like I said, the people who were in there were very helpful. Were able to find exactly what I was looking for, and lots of things that I wasn't looking for, but I'm glad that I have. That's it. Thank you for joining me on this journey through new books that I now have to read to go along with, again, all these other ones. It's embarrassing that I actually have a good portion of these that I have not gotten to yet. Soon for everything. I also want to start doing reviews of the books that I'm reading, just because I love hearing what other people like. That's how I find a lot of things, is, someone tells me, oh, I read this recently and I liked it. And that's it. If there's any queer books or any books about gaming, any books about comics, anything similar to these that you've read that you want to share, please leave a comment. Let me know what it is that you like.